Those who watch videos on this channel with any regularity have probably come to expect fairly frequent or at least sporadic bursts of unboxings. And those who pay particular attention might have noticed that there are times when we pay a lot of attention to the box and times when we pay no attention to the box. Sometimes the box doesn't even appear in the video. And of course, this being this channel, there's a spectrum of stages in between. Well, this is one of those videos where we're not going to pay a lot of attention to the box, but I will show you the box or what's left of the box before we get into what I really want to talk about. You've seen me open up a lot of those packages, and nothing will be gained by opening another one and finding that the book inside is completely undamaged. The book in question is Dramatis Personae, which, if you were looking at the cover, you would know says contains 100 pre-generated characters. It's a little over 100, actually. Dramatis Personae is by AAA Games for the Ubiquity Roleplaying System. Ostensibly, it's for Leagues of Adventure. However, technically, specifically, it's for any of the Leagues games put out by AAA Games. So Leagues of Adventure, Leagues of Gothic Horror, Leagues of Cthulhu. All of the characters provided within have all of the character details that you will need to use them in any of the Leagues games. But wait, there's more, because it's Ubiquity. Even though Leagues of Adventure is set in the 1890s, you can really very easily, sometimes adjusting for details of period, but often not needing to do that, you can use them with Hollow Earth Expedition. With a little bit more adjustment, you can use them for All for One, Regime Diabolique. With a lot more adjustment to things like occupation or background details about how people grew up or how they feel about magic, this kind of thing. You could apply, at the very least, the personality and the stats to characters to use for Desolation. And they would make a pretty good fit in many circumstances for Space 1889. I don't think you'll get as much use out of them for Roan, but who can say? So, Quantum Black, because it's modern, the occupations aren't really a problem. Social outlook is different. These are the type of minor things that need to be adjusted. Also, sanity works differently in Quantum Black than it does in the Leagues games, and magic works differently in Desolation, Quantum Black, and All for One than it does in the Leagues games. But magic basically works the same way in Leagues of Adventure as it does in Hollow Earth Expedition. Certainly the statistics, how they're derived, and how the mechanisms are employed are the same. Some of the details about the magical rituals or spells that you're casting vary. So this provides a lot of usability across the spectrum of Ubiquity with the sort of alteration that this kind of product normally carries with it. I'm looking for a naval officer, and then you take the generic template for a naval officer, and then you apply the specifics of your campaign to it. Well, here you have both options open to you. You can simply lift the stat block and make use of it, or you can lift all or some of the provided information, which you can see playing out on the screen. There is a detailed character background to help support why the character is designed the way that it was, why they do those things that they do, and how they are used to being treated because of what they do. And also, there's a small section at the end, usually one paragraph, which gives role-playing notes. So in a one-page spread, 2 columns, First column, half of which is the stat block, and the rest is who is this character? Where did they come from? How are they treated? And how do we role play them, including a character-specific quote that comes along with it? Well, you've got a ready-made character that you can scan and get into play really quickly, or that you can review and adjust as needed, or that you can import to whichever other Ubiquity game that you're playing. So I think it's fairly useful in that regard. On a personal note, these characters were designed by Paul Wiggy Wade Williams, which means they stand out. Using even a system as quick for character generation as Ubiquity is, there is depth to these characters. There is variety to these characters. There are surprises in these characters. There are the types of characters you'd expect, which have conditions about them, which you'd expect, which then have a twist to them. It's a very satisfying collection of characters, which can be read for inspiration, can be, of course, imported directly into games. And I think you'll find that just flipping through will give you ideas for how they can become major foundation building blocks of a campaign. It's not just a list of things to kill. Even better, these characters, although some of them are useful as archetypes for more established characters, such as patrons or advanced allies, a significant number of them are of the same power level as starting characters in the games, which means that if you want pre-generated characters, you can just print out one page and give it to them. It's a ready-to-go character on one page. You want to do a Ubiquity one-shot of Leagues of Gothic Horror, like a haunted house kind of mystery, you can quickly get ready and give a full snapshot of who this character could be, right? So if you have people in your group who struggle to portray different characters, there you go. If you have people in your group who don't have any trouble, who always embroider the suggestions made on a pre-generated character, they're still fine. They look at the top part of the page and have all the game statistics that they need. It's pretty slick. So we have, if you look at the back, 82 pages that are ostensibly aimed right at Leagues of Adventure. So what does that mean? It means that although they have traits like sanity, so that you can use them for Leagues of Gothic Horror or Leagues of Cthulhu, their character backgrounds or write-ups are going to focus on the types of themes and details that are part of Leagues of Adventure, things like invention and exploration and social issues common to that period of time, and so on. We have 15 pages dedicated specifically to Leagues of Gothic Horror. So these are people that have reason to be horrified or have previous connections to horrible things. Then we have 7 pages aimed at Leagues of Cthulhu, so one step further into bleakness from Gothic horror. But like I said before, any of these characters can be used in any of the League's games or beyond. Then, maybe the most useful for the busy GM on the go, there are 23 pages of hench people. 23 pages of them. And generally speaking, on one page, there are 6. Sometimes there are 5, but generally speaking, there are, let's say, 5 to 6 hench persons, those who hench, in here. Things from accountants to actors, they're all alphabetized. The whole book is alphabetized, so that's quite nice. There's the bare knuckle pugilist, and the bibliophile, followed by the Chinese doctor, and my absolute favorite, the dim but sporty school chum. There is a character in here whose follower is listed as the dim but sporty school chum. And I laughed and laughed when I saw that. And then when I came across it while editing in the hench people section, I laughed even harder. So it's a fun book. It has a lot of depth to character. It has a lot of pages of characters. And it was both a treat and a challenge for me to go through from an editorial perspective. A treat because every page just radiated creativity and made me say to myself, if I had to make this many characters, could I come even close to this level of variety, this level of depth, this level of interesting personality and character hooks? Could I? I'm left wanting, I'm afraid. And challenge because there's a lot of details. Each one is a fully statted character. So if there's any mistakes, any numbers in the wrong place, please direct your ire at me. It was my job to catch typographical errors. So I hope you'll consider adding this to your shelf. And if for nothing else, your own enjoyment reading this impossibly detailed and creative endeavor of producing this many characters for this many purposes, whether they serve as templates or archetypes, as pre-generated characters for your players, whether they serve as the building blocks or actual non-player characters in your games, whether they serve as inspiration for something nefarious going on and start a campaign all on their own, whether you import them into games which are not Leagues of Adventure, Leagues of Gothic Horror, or Leagues of Cthulhu. Dramatis Personae, I think, is a tremendous product, and I hope that you do too. Anyway, until the next unboxing with a varied amount of box, take care.